the dating app, a new kind of dating app, matching you based on who you really are. So for this, you take a personality test inspired by the Myers-Briggs that you all may know. So you have a more precise idea of like who we can match you with and who it's going to work out well, and who is going to accept your core strengths, which is the most important, to be recognized for who you really are. And yeah, I'm really glad to be here to spread this message that you are great as you are, and you just need to realize it. And sometimes you also need the good people in your life to realize it. So that's our job with Tennesha, to push you to the right people. So thank you, Michael, for having us.
Thank you, Juliette. Welcome to your first empathy workout. Are you ready? All right. So Tennesha, I know you did a real brief introduction, but a lot of people were still joining during the icebreaker. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the Actually Curious community as well?
Hi, everyone. I am Tennesha Wood, and I am a dating coach, matchmaker, and a podcaster. And similar to Juliette, I believe we are all amazing and fine as who we are. It is just a matter of finding the people that know, love, and accept us for who we are. So what I do is I help singles discover themselves and then ultimately find somebody that appreciates all that is them. And a lot of my work actually comes in the form of helping people discover what is unique about themselves, and then sharing and spreading that with people that they potentially want to meet. And the biggest thing that I've probably discovered in this work is that essentially we're all looking for the same thing. You know, we all want love, we all want companionship. The only difference is what it might look like. You know, the person it might look like, how we get there. But at the end of the day, you know, as human beings, we all share that and need that for survival.
Thank you, Tennesha. So, you know, before we move into the next question, just to bring it full circle, you heard from Juliette, you heard a bit about herself and Birdie, you heard from Tennesha. The reason why we're here together, the commonalities, we all really believe in this approach of self-awareness and in almost like creating tools and frameworks to connect to yourself. I mean, Actually Curious, the card game, the original inspiration, one of the original inspirations for the card game was actually a New York Times article about falling in love called The 36 Questions That Lead to Love. And we took much of the psychology behind that and met actually with the psychologists that were referenced in that article and gamified it. Took it out of the romantic context and turned it into a tool to connect people based on the things that are important: background, values, views on important issues. So with that, you know, one of the things before I started becoming an entrepreneur that always kind of rubbed me in corporate America is when people would use the phrase, "This is business, it's not personal." Because, you know, you spend so much of your time at work, if you're really bringing your full self, or you're trying to, it is personal, especially if you're passionate about it. So I think that's also another commonality between us. So I wanted to, Tennesha, let's maybe start with you. What is there a line between business and personal? What's led you to doing the work that you do?
Oh, what I do now is completely personal, both in what it means to me and how I interact with people. But how I actually got into this work was because I had zero passion for what I was doing at one point. So I had a really long career in corporate sales. And I remember being in meetings with people and they would get so passionate. I mean, to the point where they would start like yelling at each other and going back and forth. But in like a really like they care about what was going to happen with that project. And I remember I'd be sitting there and I'd feel so neutral. Like I would just feel like, okay, that's cool, I guess. And I had no passion, and I knew that I wanted that. Like, I'm like, I want to feel so passionate about something that, you know, I'm compelled to go back and forth for this long. And at the same time, I was living in San Francisco, and I was pretty new there and didn't know a ton of people. So I had started online dating on OkCupid at the time. And I loved it, right? I loved going out on these dates because I was like exploring the city. People were, you know, just, it was like new. Everything was like a brand new. And so I was exploring the city, meeting all these guys. And while I was dating them, I was figuring out what I liked and what I didn't like. So the whole process was really fun for me. I shared this with friends. I was never that person that was embarrassed about online dating. Like I was like, oh yeah, we met on OkCupid. Oh yeah, we met online. It's totally fine. And so I started helping friends sort of create their profiles and, you know, tweak them and, you know, try to figure out what sorts of guys they were maybe attracting or women. And so I realized I really liked it. I was like, I really love doing this, and started doing it for friends. And then that expanded. And eventually I was like, you know, I think people should pay me for this. So 4 years ago, I finally made the leap to quit my full-time job and go full force at coaching and matchmaking and the podcast where, you know, I talk about all things dating and relationships. And I love it. Like I love talking about this. I love just figuring people out. And again, I always come back to the same place of we all need this same thing. And if we just remove the layers, we'll realize like how much alike we really are in this.
Yeah. Tennesha and I were having a conversation about this very topic, and sometimes the allure of sometimes going outside of our entrepreneurial ventures in order to almost like find that security, but choosing and having the right ecosystem around us to choose to follow our hearts on a daily basis. We know that's a blessing and a privilege. Juliette, you're up. So same question for you. I know that, first of all, I didn't realize that, Tennesha, that your journey kind of started in SF, because Juliette, you're holding it down in Silicon Valley over there, creating love in a different way. So tell us, is there a line for you? Tell us about how the personal infuses into what you're doing.
Yeah. Actually, it's very funny that you started as well in San Francisco, Tennesha. I didn't know that. But yeah, for me, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I guess you're waiting for the good idea to start. But me, I was kind of like starting some things, and then I got hit by something so hard in my face that I just found my idea, but I didn't want it. So basically, to tell you the story, I was in France at the time. I was 16, and I was dating someone like very much older and handsome guy, and I was so in love. And this guy, I stayed with him 5 years, and I figured out after I broke up with him, because I was completely dead inside and outside of my life, that he was like a narcissist, and that I got into a toxic relationship for 5 years. And I was so young, I had no boundaries. I was also naive. I didn't know like that people could actually want to put you down so that they, you know, feel better and those kind of things. And when you like this process of like toxicity, it's pretty easy to understand. They need to destroy what they get into their hands. So and when they use the everything that is mental for that, like psychology, it's even worse, because you're not used to work on your psychology. You can work on like your body and things like that, but you're not so in touch usually, especially when you're young, with your psychology. And when you're touched into that, that's very hard to rebuild yourself. So actually the journey, this journey happened to me to like rebuild myself. How can I know who I am anymore? I didn't know anymore. I was like, what is good? Why did that happen to me? And then I discovered the Myers-Briggs. That was the test that helped me the most in rebuilding, like finding my strengths, like what am I good at, like why, and what are my weaknesses? Where can we push on me so that I feel bad and I feel sad, and then like you can manipulate me when people are toxic. But so that's basically like how I created Birdie. Of course, not everyone will meet like a toxic person in their lives, but this work that I did on myself, now I am so aware that I can actually choose my partners way better, and like I know what is good for me. Like I know exactly when to say no, when to say yes, and I really wish that for everyone, because even if the person is not toxic, you might end up with someone that just doesn't love what you are and will try to change you, or will make some comments, and you will feel bad because this is all your biggest strengths, and you just cannot be anything else than what you are. So that's why I created Birdie. So it's deeply in my story and in my life, but I think it's even better because then what in entrepreneurship you just, it's like a challenge to stay in the business because it's so hard and stuff. But if you really believe in what you do and it's in your core, then you will stay and you will be successful. That's what I believe.
Wow, Juliette, you're taking us to like level 4 already, right off the bat. Thank you for that vulnerability.
Of course.
Thank you for modeling that with the community. With that, before we go into our last question in this section, I want to ask the community, if you will, this in particular, this empathy workout is going to be about total participation. Thank you all who already have your cameras on for your bravery there. If you're on and you don't have your camera on, I'm just going to ask from the very bottom of my heart if you would turn that on as well, and give you a little bit of foreshadowing that we're gonna ask everyone here to really get some reps in. Let's not just sit on the sideline and participate when we get into the empathy workout. Okay, so Juliette, you kind of already took us here on my third question a little bit, but I think maybe we're gonna ask. I think you already have practice in what it means to go even deeper. What have you learned on your journey of love? And first of all, I want to match you as well. I want to say that, as I was reflecting on doing this event, I encountered a lot of imposter syndrome, because I will be the first to say that I've encountered a lot of failed love, and to be curating this event was a little bit scary for me. But I do think there's a lot of learning in all of those mistakes, and it's brought me to a very secure love. So the question, Juliette, aside from what you've already shared with us, what have you learned, and what does it bring? What do you bring into your approach to finding partnership, romantic or otherwise?
Yeah, so actually it's pretty simple. What I learned, it's just that I'm worth it, and that's it, period. I'm worth it. I'm worth of love. I'm worth of being happy as I am. I'm worth of like not thinking too much, not changing, not like putting myself into question too much, and just worth of happiness. And I think that what I want to bring with Birdie is that same feeling for everyone that use the app, so that when they found their perfect person, they just feel that they're worth it too, and they don't stop asking themselves questions.
Snaps to that. Tennesha, let's hear it.
For me, I think the biggest thing that I've learned, both personally and professionally, is just to be open about what I really want, right? I think a lot of the times we feel like, I shouldn't say I want all this, like it's going to be judged, and we put our own filter and lens of judgment on it before we even share it with a partner or somebody that we're trying to get to know. We make all these assumptions about what they're going to think and how they're going to react. And then when we do that, we're not really bringing our authentic selves. We're sort of hoping that we don't offend or step on toes, versus just coming in and saying, hey, this is how I'm really feeling. And you know what actually comes to mind for me right now, Michael?
Yeah.
A conversation that you and I had the other day, right? So I had been calling, and I hope that you don't mind that I share this, but I had been calling you Mike, right? And a mutual friend that we know says, oh, I didn't know that he went by Mike. And I said, well, I've just been calling him that because I met him through my boyfriend, and that's what he calls him. So I just was calling him that. And, then Michael said to me, yeah, so she also asked me, why you call me that? And I was like, I had no idea that you didn't actually go by that, But I tell this story because what I'm saying is I really appreciated him letting me know what his needs were in that moment and not assuming that I would take offense, and me also not taking offense to him sharing his needs. And so when you're authentic and upfront about what you want, people will often deliver on that. And if they can't and you're authentically being yourself, that's probably not your person, not your friend, or somebody you want to partner with. So I would say always be authentic about your needs, and being authentic comes from knowing yourself. Like knowing what you want comes from knowing you. So know who you are, and then always bring your authentic self to every situation, even in the ones where it feels incredibly uncomfortable and you're not sure how people will react. As long as you are being yourself, you're being in the right spirit.
May I?
Come on, what's up? Let's hear it.
Sometime during this call, I would like to ask questions for Juliette, if I may. Maybe not right now, but I would like to have some time to ask her questions about her site.
No worries. Just to give you a heads up, we have going forward, we're going to have after this a quick grounding exercise just to kind of center us before we go into a 20-minute gameplay section. And then we'll have about 10 minutes for open forum and questions in that format. So that'll be a good place for that. All right, so Tennesha, thank you for that share. There's something you said I wanted to jump off of here. You know, you were recognizing me kind of taking that sort of micro boundary, and I'll say you inspired me. Actually, I wrote an article recently, a conversation you told me about that we had about names and people taking the effort to learn your name and to spell it correctly, or to see it in email and then spell it wrong even when they write it in the body. And that really inspired me to want to slow down, because I'll say, you know, just owning my own bias. You know, my name's Michael. That is in some ways, like I've jumped past sometimes learning names. So it made me pause and reappraise those situations going forward. So I'm just paying it forward, girl. Boundaries, respect boundaries, right? And so with that, I guess what I want to do is I want to take us into a grounding exercise. And I'll share that this will be my first time leading a grounding exercise on an empathy workout. So it's a bit of a stretch for me. So I just want to join you guys in this moment. For me, that is a little bit outside my comfort zone. But nonetheless, these empathy workouts are really, and actually Curious in general is really about being playful. In some ways, it's taking something that's, you know, topics that are quite confronting, or even the ability to open up and be vulnerable, but trying to make it playful so people can get into it and then get deeper together. So that's the spirit I'm bringing to this grounding. And how that relates, I think, you know, Juliette, you were talking about getting to know yourself. I was journaling the other day, and I was thinking about like attraction and relationships and falling in love. And so many of us like default to physical attraction, or like, you know, even things that are less explicable, like butterflies. I got butterflies, right? But very recently, someone gave me this push to reappraise like what butterflies might be, and that butterflies actually could be almost is actually a trauma response. It's like fear of rejection that you associate to something from your childhood, a love that you've wanted that you now are mirroring in the seeking of love, which kind of blew my mind. So, I mean, that for you all is someone trauma bonds. Thank you. It also falls into the realm of attachment styles, which I think is a topic kind of worth Googling and diving into as well. But, you know, when I think about finding love these days, like knowing my personality, knowing a bit about my trauma bonds and my natural inclination versus what safety actually feels like. And then learning about love languages has really, really helped me to reprogram things from childhood. Okay. So I'd love for everyone to join me in taking 3 deep breaths. I will lead us into the breaths, and out of that, I will lead us into a quick visualization before we go into the game. So on the count of 3, take your first breath. 1, 2, 3. And out. Start to feel the breath engage your body. All the way, exhale out. And when completely out, inhale in and out. You get to your full exhale. Get aware of your body, sensations in your extremities. And in, out, slowly. Grounding yourself into your chair. Getting a bit more comfortable. Allowing your breath to fall into a natural cadence. You may close your eyes. You may rest your eyes. Whatever feels safe to you. So many of our natural reactions, our protective mechanisms get formed when we are children. We learn to filter. We learn to bring our representatives. It can be exhausting, right? Like, shake that off. Like, there's no need for that here today. You don't need to bring a representative. You can just play. There's no one to tell you anything you say going forward is wrong. Be as curious and as playful as you want to be. I'll take one more breath and just take yourself back to a moment in your childhood where you were free. When you find that moment, allow your face to do what your face was doing then. Allow your body to feel how you were feeling then. Bring this welcoming of your inner child into our little game. When you're ready, start to bring yourself back to our Zoom room. All right. Welcome, children. All right. So the name of the game is, thank you, Cricket XO. I appreciate those appreciations. All right. So the name of the game, we're gonna go with the title here to keep it simple. Know you, love you, be you. And in this context, love that inner child in you, that playful side. And let's go into the rules. So there are some rules, even though, like, you know, these are the only rules, but hopefully just some guardrails. So we're gonna display a question and we'll see how many questions we'll get. And I'm gonna ask Juliette and Tennesha to help me because there are almost 50 people in this room. We want total participation, whether you have your screen on, I hope you'll do it with your screen on, but if it's even screen off. But we want everyone to answer the question and we'll see how many we can get in the next 20 minutes, next 15 minutes. Each question is about just disconnecting from your filter and just answering the question like your inner child would, you know, or in a dating context, like leave that dating representative at the door. Like they're not welcome. Today, you get to be unapologetically you. And if you're here, if your partners are here, I know some, like now, like bring your partners in because I'd love for them to take part in this as well. And then as we're going through the questions, there are a lot of people here. Take some notes. See what you learn about yourself just by being forced to disconnect from overly thinking and just answer. Just answer as your inner child. Are y'all ready? Can I get some head nods? Y'all ready? I got
Let's go.
Present? All right, let's go. All right, the first question is a simple one word answer. Which best describes you, introvert or extrovert? I'll go first, introvert.
Extrovert.
Extrovert.
And
Introvert.
extrovert.
Strictly depends on context.
Introvert.
Extrovert.
Extrovert.
Introvert.
Extrovert.
Introvert.
Extrovert.
Introvert.
Am I that student if I say ultravert, the in-between?
Ambivert.
I'm an introvert too.
Introvert.
There you go.
Extrovert.
I feel like we're probably missing a couple people. Wow, I love that. That was fast paced. That was exactly how that was supposed to go. Introvert, we get some typing in. Thank you, Angel.
Introvert.
I'm an introvert.
Gabriella. Thank you,
And
Ramona.
extrovert. Both. I'm both.
What was the word?
Ambivert.
Ambivert. Awesome.
Introvert.
Amazing. All right, so that was the first time of us doing that, and I really loved it. I think one thing that, wait, bring that down, take that down. All right, one thing that I think works that's really fun is doing it so that you lock in on the speaker so you can see it jump around as we see like the different beautiful faces throughout the community, okay? All right, so this one you're allowed to use like, 5 words or so if you need to, if you're like me. So let's go in. And I'll lead us off. Sharing the screen, can you see? Okay, have you heard of the 5 official love languages? What are yours and how do you know? I'll go first. I won't go with all 5. I've done that before, but I'm gonna be more generous. Touch and acts of service. Who's up?
Definitely
Acts of service.
I'm also acts of service.
Acts of service.
Really?
Oh wait, receiving or giving?
I think so.
Does anyone who wants to go up next want to actually like share with the audience what the 5 love languages are, just in case, just to help the rest of the flow?
I can do it.
Let's hear it, Knan.
Those are words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, quality time, or acts of service. For me, caring about others via action is primary. I also respond well to words of affirmation, gratitude, and I am touchy-feely.
Next. Let's get that flow, that popcorn style, y'all.
I gotta say, I love acts of service and quality time. I'm not a very tactile person. I can do like a hug, but that's the extent.
Quality time. Acts of service and words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
I'm a ball of love. I'm all of those.
Thank you.
Same.
I'm gonna add words of affirmation to mine.
I think my main one is words of affirmation because if you understand me, you can love me.
For me, it's gifts and words of affirmation. I will say quality time and acts of service.
Fendi sunglasses. Where's that in the love languages? Fendi sunglasses. That's mine. So that would be, I guess, acts of service and gifts.
All right. All right, I'm going to lead us into our third question. And y'all, thank you for, just sharing a bit of what you need, what you want. Bring that into your searches for partnership, romantic or otherwise. All right, so we have one last question. We're going to spend 5 minutes on it. On this one, I would love if you guys would use, and guys and gals, use the hand raise tool. So do you know where that is? Because I don't know where it is. H1? Command H on a Mac. All right, so if we could get just a couple volunteers in, that would be great before we flip to the next question. Yeah, let's go. We've got one volunteer. Let's get a couple more in, please. All right. You can just write hand raise in chat if you want to go. Okay, we have 3 hand raises. That's more than enough. Okay, so the first person up is Pollyanna, and the question is, what do you love most about yourself? Let's try to get at least 3 in.
Yeah, that's a really good question. What I love most about myself is how independent I am. I can do a lot and accomplish a lot on my own, and I look for a partner who can respect that and appreciate it and not feel threatened by it.
Thank you, Pollyanna. Snaps to that. And then next up, we have Catherine. Hey, Catherine, welcome.
Hello. I love that I'm a woman of purpose, purpose-driven. I love that I'm utterly optimistic. And I also love that I'm very honest and joyful too.
Thank you, Catherine. Those things must not be hard to love. Okay, so our last in this round. Katina? Did I say that right?
Katina. It's Katina.
Hey, Katina, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I would say what I love most about myself is my resilience, which COVID kind of showed me that a little bit. And like with everything going on, I had a lot of anxiety and freaking out and panicking, and I would just let those emotions come in and just process it. And then the next day I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can, face tomorrow and just keep going.
Thank you for sharing that, Katina. Oh man, there's so much of what all of you shared that resonates with me, and I think teaches me just new qualities to try to look for in myself and love on. And Katina, that last point of resilience, at the beginning of the summer, when lockdown started and we needed to, at that point I was sort of like driving around the country bringing this game to people door to door, and I couldn't do that anymore. And I realized like that was a part of my healing process as well, and that was lost to me. And I took a moment to look back at my values, and resilience was one of the values, the new values that came out of my values exercise. And I really just use that because, even with all the struggle, we're here, and that can be celebrated. So, and used as a pillar for going forward. So thank you so much for sharing that. And so that brings us to the the last two sections. So we're going to go into open forum section. The open forum is a free community space. We don't want to dictate how these gatherings go every week to the T. And this allows for you to ask questions of the host or the co-host, to share any reactions. If you really, really wanted to answer one of those questions, but you didn't get to, then you can do that here as well. And then just so you know, at the end, we're gonna close out with an intention for the week, which is just a provocation that you can use as you journal, as you meditate, as you think about the week ahead. We do that every week, and this week will be led out in an intention by Tennesha. So with that, let's dive into the open forum. You can use the hand raise tool. I know, Bahia, you had your hand up in the last round. If you still want to go, you can start now. And then if anyone else, I know Kanan, you had a question. So just use the hand raise tool. And
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you so much, Mikael, for giving this moment to share now. So I had a question for Tennesha, who mentioned the fact that feeling peace is really what is so important for you. And I wonder, how did you manage to really find that peace? And that's something that, as all the costs shared, also found. So yeah, it will be a question for Tennesha. How has it been the journey? And for the other core hosts, if it's something that they also feel as they're sharing this workshop with us.
Yeah, I think for me, that piece really came from trusting my gut. So when I make a decision now, I don't overthink it. I don't think, am I doing the right thing? Is this for me? Is this going to somehow blow up in my face? I just trust that I'm going with my heart and what I'm doing is right for me. And, the way that I could tell when I'm not doing something right is when I get in this space of questioning myself, questioning other people, and things aren't flowing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like physically uncomfortable in a way when you're in the wrong situation. So whether that be a relationship, a work situation, whatever it might be, you'll literally feel it in your body. Like your body starts to feel uncomfortable. Whereas when you're just flowing because you're in the right place and around the right people, you're actually not thinking, you're just actually being in the moment. It's those moments where we're uncomfortable, when we're either living in the past and trying to go back and fix it somehow in our minds, or living in the future where we're constantly worried about what's going to happen. But when we're truly like following our gut and we're like leading with our heart, we're just in a constant state of flow. And so for me, like I shared at the beginning of this, when I was working those sales jobs, it was constantly uncomfortable. Like it was constantly like, what's happening? What should I say? What should I do? I never really knew my place, if you will. And now with what I'm doing, I never feel like that. Does that mean I never have fear over anything? Absolutely not. But I'm always comfortable and peaceful knowing that I'm forging in the right direction.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
And Tennesha, you had your hand raised too?
Oh, I was going to comment on what you had said before about, sometimes butterflies can be a trauma response. Sometimes people will often question, I don't know why I continue to be attracted to these sort of toxic people or people that are causing trauma and causing further trauma. And part of the reason is that we, as human beings, we love the familiar. So when something is familiar to us, even if it's a bad thing, we will often gravitate to that because that is what we know. So if you had a trauma from childhood, you're likely to gravitate towards that as an adult, even if consciously this isn't what I want. It's what's familiar to your body, and your body is constantly trying to get back to that homeostasis that it knows, including trauma. So it's important to be aware of what your traumas are, so that when you can feel yourself sort of going in that direction, you can identify it and sort of stop it in the moment.
Yeah. When I learned about that, it tripped me up so hard. And in many ways, whenever I feel an intense physical response to anything, I actually now slow down and go, what's on the other side of that?
Yep.
So Ruby, I know you had a question, and Kanan, I know you had a question for Juliette. And then after that, I hope maybe we have a couple minutes. We just have a couple announcements and an intention, and then we'll close up. And we'll close up with a little bit of like happy hour questions as well for people who just want to hang on a little bit longer. All right, so what did I just say? Ruby, let's go.
I was going to say one thing before I asked my question was that in regards to knowing your trauma, like my therapist said that that's our way of trying to like redo whatever childhood trauma happens. Like we seek out those relationships that will repeat what we endured during childhood to try and like reparent ourselves or fix what got broken as kids. So that's all to say, ain't no shame in the game, but important to realize what's going on. So my question is for the two co-hosts. I know specifically, I think as Juliette described, being in a narcissistic relationship and recovering from that. Can you share some of your healing journey around that and how you got out of the enmeshment and the like, it's kind of like their brain overtakes part of your brain when you're in that dynamic, and it can be really hard to break free from. So any tips or advice you have about breaking free from narcissistic people and toxic people would be lovely.
Okay, so actually, the thing that happened to me is that right after I broke up, well, first of all, I broke up on how do you say, like something really sudden, like it was a twist in my mind, like someone said something to me and it made sense. It was a complete stranger and they didn't know anything about me, and that's how like I broke up. And then after that, 2 weeks later, I broke up with him. I actually broke my spine in a horse accident. So actually the recovery, it was really weird for me because I didn't have to really think about him. I was just thinking about like recovering physically. But after that, I realized the vertebra I broke is the vertebra in the Chinese medicine that is the vertebra of the personality. So it's the L5. So I can tell you that the recovery, if it also like lies in your body like that, and that you can actually broke physically after that because of a mental relationship like this, it's gonna be long, it's gonna be hard, full of nightmares and full of flashes, but you will do it. I guess it's just time, and it's just like meeting the right people after that will also tell you things that will replace what the person told you, and the flashes will go away and be replaced by only good things. But you need to be really, really strict on what you accept and what you don't accept. I was a bit like too much myself. I really threw people off as soon as they were saying something that really reminded me someone taking over control, and I threw them out of my life. But I think that it's required in your process to heal to just keep the people that tell you good things, that you are great, that you're beautiful, that you are the most amazing person in the world. Even if it's not true, you have to hear it. You have to replace the bad memories with good ones, and then time. And then if you can have a spine injury, but I don't recommend that at all.
Thank you.
Nisha, are you chiming in on that or no?
Yeah, I think the other big piece of that, after you've been through something extremely toxic, is to learn how to forgive and trust yourself. Because what often happens is in those relationships is where we're in that person's world, in the toxic person's world, and we sort of start to see things from their perspective. And often we lose touch with friends and family that we're close to. And so we're just seeing this person. So when you get out of it, first thing is forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not maybe knowing better at the time, maybe not having all the information, not recognizing. And the next step, I think, is really being around people that you can trust, so that you know that trust exists and that there are people that you can trust, and not everybody is going to put you through something toxic like this person did. So really reestablishing relationships with friends and family that you trust, where you're not questioning. So it's kind of like what I was talking about before. Get in that space of peace where you're not wondering, am I saying the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? So surround yourself with people that truly bring you that peace and show you that you can trust again.
Thank you. That's great.
Thank you, Tennesha. And with that, sorry for those who didn't get to ask questions, but we're already going to run a little bit over. I want to say, you know, the whole inspiration for this particular empathy workout was also going on the offensive on this, which is getting really aware of yourself and what you need, and loving on yourself, and making a practice of that, a daily practice of that. Because then that strengthens your ability to know instinctively when people are, you know, are trying to manipulate you and or take you outside of your true self. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those thoughtful questions. So you have just completed what was the originally conceived set of empathy workouts alongside Birdie and Juliette and her wonderful team, and Transparent and Black. We wanted to see how this works. And, you know, even as I'll be transparent with you guys, I needed to see how this would work energetically to commit to Sunday afternoons to a group of people as an extrovert. And I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to spend more time with you all. So then that brings us to our news that we're so excited to share. So, you know, we're still in the thick of it. We're just going to extend Empathy 2020 through till the weekend after the election. So next weekend, we are going to do a gathering. What we've noticed in these first 4 is they've been great. They've flown really well. We've done some different things with the kind of programming element. Next week, we're going to really minimize the programming element and really space out the game element so that we can hear more of your voices and have each other hear more of each other's voices. So we're calling it allyship no matter what. And the spirit here is no matter what happens the following Tuesday, and however long or not that drags out, we're still in the same temperature that has been created over the last 5+ years, and that's an environment of divisiveness. So no matter who wins, we're going to still need, as people who want to bring about a more just and empathetic world, we're going to need to continue that energy. So next week is going to be a gathering. I hope to see many of you. We're inviting back all the co-hosts, whomever can make it. If they can't, no pressure. But inviting everyone back, and the spirit there is, let's talk about the important topics like diversity and sustainability and mental health that are going to be important no matter what going forward. And then we're coming back on the 8th with Let's Go There with Kanene Holder, who's here from Black Issues. And the spirit of that event is going to be, you know, emotions are going to be high no matter what happens. And we want to create a safe space to go there, you know, to be as ecstatic as you want or as angry as you want, a safe space to take on that spectrum of emotions. And we will create workouts to help facilitate that. So we hope to see you at both. Follow us on Instagram at @actuallycurious, and then sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get the invites. And with that, I want to turn it over to Tennesha to bring us out on this lovely intention.
This was my stretch for the week.
we'll hang back for 10 minutes after the intention to just play and ask, just engage a little bit more. Take it away.
So for this week, I would like us to practice empathy to ourselves in every moment. So with that being said, this week, I practice empathy and love for myself in every moment. I give myself the same grace I give to those I honor and love. I demonstrate how others should love me by loving myself wholly. I recognize my own humanity and release the need for perfection. I seek to understand myself without judgment and with the knowledge that I have done the best I could do with the tools I have. Growth occurs outside my comfort zone. I applaud myself for the work that I have done to bring me closer to my vision and purpose. My difference is my strength, and there is no one like me. I am here because I am unique. My talents are needed in this world, and my gifts are special. I am special.
Thank you, Tennesha.
Thank you. It's been an honor to be here today, by the way, and I appreciate all of you coming and sharing and participating. I was a little bit nervous before, but you all have put me at such ease, and this is what I love doing. I love hearing about what is happening and how we're all feeling. So again, all feeling the same ways and wanting the same things.
Thank you. And Juliette, thank you for joining us this Sunday. It's a little bit later over there. Where are you, by the way?
No, well, thank you so much. Same as Tennesha, I was super nervous, but you were all great and all opening your heart, and that's amazing to be part of this. I'm in Tulum right now in Mexico, but soon back in France with a curfew at 9 p.m. So enjoying the Mexico a little bit.
Amazing. I wish I was in Mexico, but I am in warm weather. So cool. I'm down in Florida. Yeah, it's just an open space. This is a new thing we're trying. We feel like we want to give people this. We actually managed to do this all in 1 hour, by the way. So kudos to everyone. But I'll throw up some questions and we can play a little bit more for the next 10 minutes if you'd like. Nothing says I love you like blank.
Find me food I like.
That's one of those like really know you ones.
Somebody doing research on a topic that I'm dealing with.
What are you working on these days?
Validation.
Wait, can I hear that again, Catherine?
Empathy and validation.
Looks like we have a few type-ins here. Home cooking from JC. Thank you, JC. That's a big one.
Doing or saying something that lets me know you've been listening.
That's a big one, Albert. It's a real big one. Love that. Flowers just because. You gotta tell us, Pollyanna, what is there like a secret flower that works for you?
Yeah, I love peonies and roses.
That's amazing. Peonies are my favorite flower. I love the evolution of them from like getting them. I love to get them as bulbs, you know?
Yeah, same.
What else? What do we get? Radical acceptance, Tara? All right, let's try one more. Molly, I see you over there. I'm gonna get you on this next one. This is a hard one.
They claim to like me.
I'll go on this one. They make me want to be a better version of me, even though I love me.
For me, a lot of my exes were entrepreneurs, and I think there's just something about that drive and that spirit that I'm really drawn to.
Okay. They were all tall. I'm 4'10", so of course I do that. They were all broke. And they all knew how to have a good time.
Like, I want to hang out with them, but maybe not date them. Carol, we haven't heard from you much today.
I new people, so I wanted to give everyone a chance because I'm going to be in the future workshops. You can best believe that. I would say that at the times, snaps, I shared the same sense of humor as them. But my sense of humor has changed over time, and I realized what an idiot I was with the things that made me laugh way back when. So now I appreciate people with a sense of good, healthy sense of humor that also includes being able to laugh at themselves because they know themselves so well that that's the type of humor that I appreciate now. That you are so, humor is so important. I agree, Tennesha. Like, if you can't laugh at yourself, then what's going on? And just, being able to laugh with someone when the going gets tough is always good.
Humor and your evolving sense of humor. Anyone else? Yeah.
I will say they were all socially driven in the sense that they look at beyond themselves.
I want to sit on the couch and then I lay on the
Dad, you
pillow.
want to play Actually Curious with us,
Yeah.
little guy? No? I got a question for you. Let's see.
I can't lay on the pillow with my tummy because then I'll be facing at the couch.
All right, so in the spirit of Halloween, this is a good one. What was your favorite candy as a kid, and would you eat it today? Would you still eat it today?
Kit Kats, and yes, I love Kit Kats.
Who's that?
Does anybody remember Twix?
Yeah.
I love Twix.
Like a very specific way of eating the Twix where I ate like layer by layer, and I would still eat those. I would scarf one down right now if I had it.
Is that the one with like chocolate caramel on the wafer?
Exactly, and I ate them all separately.
I had a very specific way I ate Reese's peanut butter cups.
How do you eat them?
How did I eat them?
Yeah.
Well, I would get the outside first, and so I just had like a perfect circle with the peanut butter exposed, and then I'd eat that.
Y'all were such patient kids eating the Twix and the peanut butter cups in such a. That's so interesting.
What about you, Gabriella? Any candy in your childhood?
There were some, I'm from Romania, and when I was a kid, we had these gums that were wrapped up in tattoos that you could make with water,
Those are cool.
And yeah, that they were delicious, and then you got the tattoo. And
I did that a lot, and sadly, I do not have any tattoos today. Ruby, you want to tell us about your favorite candy? Was that what I saw?
This gum from Mexico, I think it's called Gushers, where it's gum, but you bite into it and then like liquid sugar comes into your mouth.
Catherine? I see. Was that a set change, Catherine?
Yeah, I was running out of juice, and so I had to come over by the plug-in cord.
All right.
So
Keep us on our toes.
In the trick or treat bag, Snickers was best because it felt like the most complete. Milky Way was a close second, but Snickers added nuts, and so that was a bigger win.
I'm a big Snickers fan myself as well.
Mhm.
And Alexa,
My favorite candy as a kid was like Twix, I feel like. I don't know why, but I just like Twix a lot. I would eat the caramel off the top first for some reason, and then eat like the cookie part.
I love the intimate relationship Twix fans have with Twix. I did not know this. It makes me want to become a late Twix fan. And I heard bottle caps. Bottle caps. That's like a cult following type candy, JC. I gotta say, Three Musketeers. Cool. All right, y'all. All right, what'd you think? Closing with a little happy hour at the end? All right, let's try it again next week. We go in real deep on allyship and then close it out with some happy hour. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me, with Tennesha, with Juliette, and with the rest of the Actually Curious family who wasn't able to be here today. We'll be posting video online. Hope to see you next week and help us keep the empathy going. We're building a movement here. Thank you. Take care, y'all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Ida.